Teal dear, just a quick update video today to let you know that I recently took part in a MGTOW Talks discussion with Stardust, and in this episode we address the curious topic of anti-feminism and beyond, and we dig a little bit more into the depths of some of the topics which I've covered in my two most recent videos, those being intellectual rigor versus ponage, and the suspension of social justice in universities. As usual with these conversations, I will leave you with a short snippet from the first few minutes of the conversation. If you'd like to hear more, then there is a link available in the box below this video and a card displayed throughout this video for your convenience, so that you can go and listen to the full conversation hosted on Stardust's channel here on YouTube. With all that out of the way, I thank you for your time and your attention, and now I leave you with the beginning minutes of the conversation. MGTOW Talks, Teal dear on anti-feminism and beyond.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back. I am here with a very special guest, the now infamous Teal dear. For those of you, let me just say at the outset, who haven't watched his last two videos, particularly his most recent one, I mean, check it out. And I say this, it was a beautiful video, and you know, always respected Teal dear, but it really, you know, you can only give the guy respect, and he's right here. It's not so much for those of you in MGTOW circles because the content, you already know it. It's just that I really think, and I'll just say at the outset publicly, I mean, Teal dear admitted in the video that he's moved away from the poke fun at feminist things because he wants to do something different, and that runs a certain risk because he has a successful channel. So I think we can only accord him the deepest respect for that move and the fact that he's brought this incredibly important topic of realizing that there are differences between the sexes and racial differences and all this stuff to public just because nobody wants to talk about it. So let me first say that. Thank you so much for making that video. I think everyone who's been lingering in the shadows, not that I necessarily want e-fame, talking about these things for a long time, really appreciates you going on a limb, risking possible rejection by mainstream subscribers, and just telling it like it is. I mean, I know it wasn't a pawnage video, but fuck, man, it sounded like a pawnage video.
That's life. People will take what they do from it. If people want to get offended and upset, that there is a very definite reason for certain facets of social interaction informed by biology and things. If they want to get offended by that, it's nothing that I haven't said before, so saying it just in a slightly more upfront means shouldn't really be anything new to them. It might just be that this is a little bit more blatant and in their face.
But Teal, I mean, I know you mentioned some of the motivations in the video, but would you say that directly addressing this issue, particularly in the anti-feminist crowd, was something that was sort of bubbling in you, and you just thought, fuck, I just need to tell the world about this? Or, I mean, describe the process that led you to make that particular video.
It was pretty much that. It's obviously I've been sort of on the anti-feminist side of the manosphere, and I hate using all of these words because I'm just me doing whatever it is that I feel like doing.
Exactly.
But I've noticed within it there's a very distinct series of patterns emerging. Now, this might just be because, as you've pointed out on your channel numerous times, humans, we're naturally pattern-seeking creatures. We like to try and find order where there is no order and reason where there is no reason. But I'm just sort of noticing a pattern, and the pattern is ever-growing of just going for slam-dunk mockery. Some people will address statistics and will address hard data, and I massively respect those people who will. But there's some people who just, they're not interested in that. They're just going to listen to a couple of sentences of what someone says and then just say, oh, well, that's a bit fucking stupid, isn't it? And that's basically it. They're sort of relying on pre-built goodwill from their audience and almost just sort of playing to the fact that the audience already knows the data or already knows the position they're in, so they are people who are just literally preaching to a choir, which I have no problem with per se. As I even said in that video, it's an essential first step towards getting people on board with the opposition to feminism, on board with the current increasing march of cultural Marxism and all of that stuff. Just people are starting to realize the bullshit that's happening. when it comes to someone like Donald Trump, like or love him, the reason he's making waves in America is because he's going against this stuff and making points about it publicly. So a lot of people are noticing that it's coming more and more into the public consciousness. But as that rises up, I think people are going to want to and need to understand where all of this is stemming from. And they're not going to get that from just dozens and dozens and dozens of channels basically saying, oh, this is stupid and we know it's stupid. It's like, yes, we know it's stupid, but where is it coming from? And that's the answer that I want to sort of start trying to get out there. You know, it's not something social. It's not something political. Yes, those are massive factors, but there is more. Let's now look at the more.
I can't help but think, with you having said that, that part of the flaw is the sort of the inherent nature of YouTube being essentially an entertainment format above all else, which is to say, whatever the genre of entertainment, be it, you know, anti-feminist slam dunks or commenting on the quote-unquote saddest girl on the internet, or even, you know, what's the most popular game, let's grow our gaming channel that way. That seems to be the predominant format. I mean, there's the odd guy that, you know, does proper whatever, but even when it is some sort of, I don't know, a channel about history, it really has to have, it can't be the dull, dry lecture, which people, I imagine, hate. It's got to have the flashy animations and graphics, and I think it's an inherent flaw of YouTube. I mean, yeah, that's at least my thoughts. I just see, we were just talking about CS MGTOW, that fantastic video of his where he compares the 4 different models, and that is just, I mean, that's an amazing video, but it's probably never going to get that much exposure because it's maybe too methodical. It's not entertaining. It's not flashy. I think that's a part of the problem is that format that we have at YouTube is it's just entertainment based. That's what it's there for. You know?
Yeah, by virtue of the fact that it is a visual medium, I think a lot of people prefer to have something more visually engaging, especially en masse. I mean, we're dealing with people who have increasingly known of television their entire lives. You know, there's very few people on YouTube at the moment who remember the times when, you know, there was one television on the street and everyone would have to go round to that person's house. You know, there's just no one like that. You know, most of the people on YouTube grew up with a TV in their bedroom from the age of about 3.
Yeah.
So this idea of doing your content more sort of radio style, even though that is what I tend towards more on my channel, you still need something on screen for those people, I think, because they're just so used to it.
Yeah, yeah. But and I think that I agree with you. I mean, I tend to just use still images. Just over the years, developed more for a radio style. But ultimately, you know, if you want to sell your point, I mean, you look at, say, the Coltrane trilogy. I think he would admit too. He's basically just put together stuff that's been talked about previously by other content producers. Some stuff too, but it's because of that sort of graphical thing that really grabs your attention. And I guess that is you know, something that just human beings naturally react better to. But beyond that, I don't. My impression, and I've made videos about this in the past. Everyone check out The Contented Irrationalist if you haven't. I don't think people are naturally seekers of knowledge. Some people are, but I wouldn't say the average, you know, Tom Smith or Jane Smith are really keen on understanding one or more aspects of the world. I mean, I have to, maybe it's the cynic in me, and so it's all right to, you know, pawn Anita Sarkeesian for the 37,000th time, but, you know, you present some science or something that might not be immediately entertaining, and people think, that's boring. You know, I get told that all the time, that I'm boring. So, in fact, I lost a donation. Some guy said, you know, I just realized you're boring. I'm not going to donate. So, do you think people are naturally intellectually inquisitive and curious? That's not my impression.
No, not really. Most people are not autodidacts. Not by a long shot. But I do find people they like to learn things and they like to know things, but they don't like to actively seek it out for themselves, and they like things in sort of short, easy bursts. You know, this is why Facebook feeds like "I fucking love science" exist. It's why things like ASAP Science are really popular, like Vsauce and things like that. You know, short science that's reasonably in depth, not massively, but it's got a bit of science. There's a lot of, you know, sort of pseudo-intellectual waffle padding it out to make it sound really flashy to appeal to sort of the average person, which I don't mind, because it puts it into a sort of nice, easy-to-digest for the layman term. But that's why that sort of stuff is popular. And that's sort of what I think is sort of the golden formula for this kind of thing. Sort of, it's that short sound biteification. It's a force that can definitely be used for good, but also for bad, as we've seen with the perpetual cancer that is BuzzFeed.